soul family. Peace, peace, soul family. I'm going to share some messaging with you that I've been receiving over the past couple of days. It's time to be in your knowing. This message is for the soul family, the royal cosmic family, the soul collective, spiritual beings. I'm in flow mode, so I ask that you listen to this with your eye, your true eye, so that you can receive this message. I want to also say or acknowledge all of the new subscribers. You found your way here. This is a beautiful space to be in. It's an empowering space to be in. And you will find a lot of genuine love and support in this space. So welcome to the space. A couple of days ago, I was speaking with someone, and some things was going on with them, but they were feeling empowered. And they said, I trust that this is going to work out. And something within me lit up. And I said, no, what do you mean you trust? You know it's going to work out. And they said, well, that's what I mean. I said, no, there's a difference. And so what I'm going to talk to you about is you're in an energetic space of knowing. I want to talk about knowing. I also want to talk about the space that we're currently in right now. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me well. Okay, thank you. So let me explain. When they said that, it's like this fire lit up within me. And I said, what do you mean you trust? Who is it that you're trusting in? A lot of times we say things because we hear other people say it and we think it's the right thing to say. And so we repeat it. And I said, trusting is not evidence-based, number one, so it doesn't work with us, and I'll get to that. And number two, you're saying that there's someone outside of you that is greater than you that you're holding accountable for whatever this thing is you're going through, right? Let me explain. If someone says, I need a job, I'm trusting that I'll get a job. You're saying that I'm putting my trust in something, someone, that this job, I'm going to get this job. And it removes power from you because you're taking that energy and you're making it external. Versus saying, I know. Knowing is you being empowered. You saying that I believe in the evidence of who I am and what I've seen, what I've experienced, that this is going to be true. Let me give you an example. If I get in my car, I turn it on, I press the gas, and my destination is to get to my daughter's house, I know I'm going to get there because I know the directions. I know that when I press on the gas pedal, the car is going to go. If I stand up and I take a step and another step, I know that I'm going to be walking because I've done it before. If I bite an apple and I chew it and I swallow it, I know it's going to digest. I'm not saying I trust that I'm going to get to my daughter's house. I trust that I'm going to walk. I trust that this apple is going to digest. Even me saying that to you, you're thinking like, yeah, that's weird. Why would you say you trust? You know. Because you're basing it on this is evidence, this is true, this is what happened before. I know. So I was telling her, no, stop that. We're not going to say, I believe, I trust. It's I know, y'all. And so after all of that, I really went into a space of what is it about the knowing? And a couple of years ago, I did a lecture, Knowing plus Understanding Equals Power. Halfway through, the YouTube just crashed, and I think I did the rest of it on Zoom or Instagram. But I broke down the word know. I broke down the word knowledge, actually, and then know. And what I explained is that it is masculine energy. Let me say this right now. I already knew before I came on here that there would be energies on here trying to disturb this message. I'm going to give y'all one warning, and that's it. You get one woe, and that's it. I am not the one. Knowing, know is masculine energy. It is external energy. It is physical. It is science. It is logic. It is matter. And so in my meditation, I was asking, why was I so fired up about the knowing? And here's some things that I received. Knowing taps into our science. As spiritual beings, those who are light from light. I said it before and I'll say it again. Everyone on this planet is not the same. We are scientists. We came here from a space, a place that is science-based, y'all. And I need to speak to y'all from that space. I had to ask myself, what happened? Now, there's some things that I know, like I'm not speaking on, the wars and the various things that happened that degraded our DNA, because all of that is true. But here's what I know. Within your melanin, and let me say this, I teach a class on melanin all the time in my yearly programs. That melanin is not fully able to be studied. Scientists cannot fully understand it, and they're trying their damnedest. It is something that is constantly moving or morphing or changing, transforming. It's constantly active, and they can't get hold of it, enough of it to truly study it. And when I tell you they're doing their darndest to do that. But I'm saying that to say this. There are activations that are happening within that melanin, within the mitochondrial DNA, that is causing many of you to remember. There's activations that are happening now. And you're getting bits and pieces of it. I'm telling you to step into your knowing, because the knowing is the truth. The knowing is the science. Let me explain that as well. Again, I'm speaking to spiritual beings. I'm speaking to a specific group of people. And I'm telling you right now, you are all scientists. You all in your primordial selves studied a science. Your brains are wired for that. I was looking at my daughter's school schedule. And let me preface it by saying this. My oldest two daughters graduated from a homeschooling program. My youngest one was in a homeschooling program. I chose their classes that they would take. And now she's in a physical school. And she always wanted the sciences. She exhausted almost all of the sciences and the math. And she dreaded history. And she didn't understand why she had to take English. And so she took a lot of sciences, a lot of math. And when I looked at her schedule for the semester, it triggered something in me. I said, this is what happened to us. They separated our sciences and our maths. And I'm recalling when I first started teaching and I taught in the school systems and in inner city school systems, and science was separated from math. What do I mean? From kindergarten on, or what is the program's called? Head Start on, you literally learn math, then there is history or language, maybe art, and then science. They weren't taught together. And because they weren't taught together, it created this, listen, y'all, it created this disjunct thing within your brain. And a lot of you came to a conclusion that math is too hard. I don't understand science. When you are that, when you are math, when you are science, when you are scientists. I'm not saying that to make anyone feel good or nothing. This is the truth. In order for y'all to get who you are as spiritual beings, we have to go to the science. This is what I was taught. This is what I was told in more recently. And because you have this block, because it was created that way, you don't connect to it. And that is the knowing, that is the evidence. What do I mean? If I'm teaching you math for 45, 50 minutes because it's taught in small increments, and then there's a bell that goes off that shocks you, and then I put you in history, learning history that is false, only recent history, only part of it, and then a bell goes off, and then I teach you science. What happens is that the neural pathway that was forming with that math, that then should have been taught the science aspects of that, is now broken. And so you have these broken pathways in your brain that separate the sciences within you. And so then you say, this is too hard. And then you have an educational system that perpetrates that's not for you. That's for other people. Other people are good at that, not you. And yet, you are being studied. Your genetics, your DNA, your brain, everything being studied. The science of you is being studied, but yet you're not taught science correctly. And when you start tapping in to science, you get discouraged because you don't know which way to go. We weren't taught how to do research and even equations. A lot of that was cut off. I'm looking at different high school curriculums, for example, and high school says you have to take 2 maths in order to graduate high school. So you take a pre-algebra, algebra, and then a geometry. Sometimes it's 3, algebra 2, but you never get to the more complex sciences, the calculus, the equations, which work your brain, which help your brain understand things like physics and higher level sciences. This was purposefully done. When it comes to spirituality, oh my gosh. When it comes to spirituality, I may step on some toes, it's okay. It's enough for us to accept what someone else says, even though it fights with us logically. As children, or even as adults, you're like, I really don't get this, but because such and such said it, so that it must be. Oh, this really doesn't make sense. You're not even taught how to research your own spiritual practices, your own religions. Let me just say that. Matter of fact, you're told not to. Matter of fact, when you look at the beginning of some of these world religions, the book that you're taught of was hidden from you. You couldn't even read the book. You couldn't access the book. And so it shuts down your scientific mind in exchange for a religion or religious practice that you don't fully understand. But it's okay if you don't fully understand it, because you're not the whoever's the head of that space. No. That's why I don't argue with nobody on religion, because I say study your own stuff first and then let's have a conversation. Because you don't even study the names. You don't go to the etymology or the origin of those words, because it would blow your mind. I'm saying this as spiritual beings. There's a lot of energy on, ascending activating the DNA and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm telling you what's going to activate it. It is your knowing. And your knowing makes sense via evidence, the logic part of you, the science. Because if I can back something up with science, with numbers, with truth, you can't dispute it. Here's some truth. There are many beings here. Some are on the surface, some are underneath the surface, some are in realms above. Everything is being activated because the very vibration of this place is speeding up. Everything is being activated. I was sharing, and I've been sharing this, go out in the sun, ground. The sun is electric, the earth is magnetic. There's a circuit that has to happen with you, within you. It doesn't matter how much they spray the sky. You can't block that. I don't have to see the sun to be activated by it. I don't have to see what's out there to be activated by it. You hear me? I don't have to see certain things for our cosmic family to communicate. I don't have to see to be communicated with. I don't have to see the ships to be communicated with. I don't have to see the planets to be communicated with. A lot of you that are here came back specifically for this time. And I know it because I hear the stories. I hear the stories about your births. I hear the stories about your lives. And I said, only godlike warriors can endure this. That would choose to even be born in certain places, to certain families, in certain lives, and go through certain stuff. It's not, oh, that's your karma. What? No. There's an activation that is taking place. And in order to fully complete this, you have to understand from the science aspect. Do you understand? It's like I can communicate with someone who speaks Portuguese because I understand Spanish, right? I know some words in Portuguese, like I can communicate with them. And some things are not clear, but we can have a communication. I have to piece some parts of the conversation together. I have to use context clues, look at their facial expressions, their hand movements, etc. But when I know the language, The communication is clear. When I know the language, the communication is clear. Your DNA is doing its thing. We know this because a lot of you have unexplained sicknesses, or you're having all these astral travels, or you're going through these things. You're in this space and you're feeling overwhelmed, or whatever it is. But it's like two different languages. You're not 100% clear. It's like, I know some parts of it. When you understand the science, it's going to bring it all together, y'all. That's the knowing, because you can't dispute it. Oh, you can't dispute it. We learn things like chakras and auras and even yoga and all these things and all these spiritual things. And we don't learn the science of it. And so we stay on this fence place, or we have pieces of the puzzle, but not the full puzzle, because we don't get the science of it. And there is a science to it. There is a truth to it. There is a provable truth to it. That will make sense to you. It will click, it will turn something on, it will activate something within you. You will say, oh, I get it now. And when you get it, you can truly walk in your knowing. And so there's not a thing of, I believe. The age of belief, that is over. We're not in that space anymore. Aquarius is, I know. And it's not enough to say it, but really to know it. I don't say, I believe that when I look in the mirror, I'm going to see a brown face. I know it. Are you kidding me? I know it. I know my skin is brown. You can't, what? You can't tell me nothing else, because I know that. I see the evidence of it every day. I know it. There's proof to it. And that's how you have to be as spiritual beings, about your spiritual truth, about the work that you're here to do. You're not here to live your best life. To live, what are the phrases that people say? Live your best life. Enjoy this world. Experience the experience. Be at one with yourself. What the WTF? What does that mean? That's not for y'all who I'm speaking to. When I tell you that you are spiritual warriors, that's the truth. When I tell you that you are scientists, that's the truth. And when I tell you that you're here on a mission, not a purpose. That is about the self, a mission, which means that you're fully supported. But you need to know that. Even if you don't know what it is yet, doesn't matter. You need to know that. And when you know it, you walk in it 100%. I'm gonna say some things that may trigger some of y'all. You may get upset. It's okay. It's okay. It it really is okay. People have told me that I said things and they got upset and they unsubscribed. And the Spirit told them, go back and listen. Because it's not with malice. But some of y'all walk weak. You walk too weak. You walk too weak. And because you're so conditioned in having someone else accountable, do you understand? Well, it's in God's hands. Or the devil made me do it. Or, what is the phrase that people say? I don't even remember. Not today, Satan. Are you read the book. Read the book and understand those words. Understand those names. Devil, Satan, serpent are three different. They're three different. Study, y'all. And then it's someone else's fault because we're conditioned. Because we're not conditioned to be empowered ourselves. Oh no. I remember at 12 years old, me asking a question about the Bible to my mother. And she said, well, I don't know. Let's ask the pastor. And so I asked him the question. And he referred me to a verse in the Bible. Now, mind you, he was a new pastor of the church. He didn't know me from when I was little. And so he referred me to the Bible. And I said, yeah, I know that verse. And I read it. I said it back to him, repeated back to him. And I said, but that doesn't that doesn't answer my question. And he repeated the verse again. And I said, well, give me something else to explain the question that I have. And he said, you just need to have faith. And I said, well, faith in who? And it was this frustrating exchange. And I wasn't trying to be a smartass, although at 12 years old, it was appearing that I was being a smartass. I think he quoted John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. And so he was saying things, and so I'm repeating them and saying, but explain that. And I'm telling him what I found, a 12-year-old. I don't know how to research anything other than I'm reading this book. And the conclusion was, I'm being disrespectful because I'm questioning and I don't have enough faith. And I needed deep prayer, like a whole exorcism, because I'm being used by whatever. And I said, for asking a question, because it has to be logical. It has to make sense. And something in me gave up that day and said, well, maybe I'm wrong. And I just have to have faith that the pastor knows what he's talking about. And that these people that have these titles know what they're talking about. And I just don't. And that was a breath of fresh air, because then maybe I don't have to study anymore. And I just have to show up every so often, ask for forgiveness for all the things that I did, not hold myself accountable to anything, because all I had to do was ask for forgiveness. And this person would tell me to say whatever, repeat whatever, and I'm forgiven. And that's it. And so we're conditioned like that. We're conditioned like that, not to do the work on ourselves, not to see ourselves, not to look at our own reflection, because the mirror was removed and a person was placed in front of us that said, this is how you do it. And so a lot of you will talk yourself into weak actions and tell yourself that it's okay. I tell people, especially my students, don't come to me with no excuse. I'm the excuse eliminator. And we're going to keep eliminating the excuses until we get to the root trauma. And your root thing is you're afraid. You're stuck in a situation. You think you're stuck in a situation and there's no way out. And, it's the government because the economy. What? And it's because of racism or post-traumatic stress disorder or whatever the case is, because, in this country and everything else outside of you, well, the government is against us, and, the police and the this and the that. You're not addressing your stuff. You're not looking at yourself because you've been conditioned not to. And I'm just going to pray to God that there's a change. I'm just going to trust in God. What God? Who? Do you even know who? Which one? Instead of you trusting in you. Every great one, every Christos, master that came, said, God is you, is in you. Every last one. But it's someone else. It, that's the phrase. It's the enemy. The enemy's coming after the enemy. Read your book. Read your book. Read your book. We put so much emphasis on this enemy that is more powerful than us. It is like simple polarity, duality. Even in the Bible, it says adversary. Like it's language. It's just saying something opposite of you, right? In order for it to be opposite, it has to be balanced. If you are 50%, they have to be 50%, right? That means that they're not more powerful than you. But we give it this power, this thing. And then we can take it a step forward. We can take it a step further to say that that thing is within you. And if it's within you, then you can choose to overcome it. You. I hope I'm making sense. Sometimes I speak to you all, and it's literally, I'm looking at like this block of energy, and I'm trying to disseminate it down. It's time to get off your little square of weakness. You have to. It's time to stand up, right? Start really doing your work and being consistent with it. Nobody's gonna poo-poo you anymore. I'm not gonna poo-poo you. I'm me. Can I type in this chat? Mm-mm-mm. Can y'all hear me? Let me know. Okay. Y'all, I know what I'm saying is powerful. I know the message that I received. I already know. Y'all know on this channel we don't get the trolls and the low vibrational beings, and they try to come on here and infiltrate. YouTube did this whole thing, and this has happened before, where you say certain things and it will interrupt the connection. I'm fully aware of that. I'm fully aware of the algorithms. But when I say there is a plan in place for us, there's a plan in place for us, because we've been too dependent on these systems that we created in the first place. When I'm telling y'all we have to tap back into our science, I'm telling y'all to be telling y'all, this computer, these devices that we are on, this ain't new stuff. This is old stuff. Listen, a lot of y'all 6,000 years ago, around 6,000 years ago, stuff was erased. DNA was damaged further. But trust me when I said the technology was here before that. These devices ain't new. These computers ain't new. Let me tell y'all something. Yesterday, I had to send out a newsletter. And I said I was sending out 1111. There was an issue that was happening with my computer. My daughter comes over to my house to help me figure it out. And I said, this has to go out. Spirit told me to do this letter, to keep people on lines every single week. And as brilliant as she is, she could not figure it out. And I literally said, look, something has to give. This email's going out in the next few minutes. And something turned on within me. Y'all know what HTML coding is? Maybe you don't know what coding is. When I first, in 1996, Computer Science 101. The whole entire university had to take either computer science or philosophy, I think. No, statistics. This is before Google. This is before engines. The first search engines were web crawler, I think Lycos. Some of y'all may not know what that is. This is before there was a World Wide Web. You hear me? If you wanted the internet, you had to dial a phone number and wait a few minutes to get connected. So in that Computer Science 101 class, we had to learn zeros and ones and HTML codes because that's how you created programs. That weren't apps. That wasn't a thing, y'all. And so yesterday, something clicked. Something clicked. And I started typing. She said, "Mommy, what are you typing?" And I started typing. It was HTML, some symbols, whatever. And then I typed in what I wanted to connect in order to get the newsletter out. And I pressed enter. And she's like, "It worked." I said, "Yes." I had to remember and being the knowing that I'm a freaking scientist, that I know these computers. This is within my DNA. They told y'all that in the movie. What's that movie? That was, what's her name? Hidden Colors? Was it called? Not Hidden Colors. That's something else. With Taraji P. Henson. And she was at NASA. What the heck is the name of that movie? Hidden Figures. Yes. And when they went into the basement, y'all, this is a true story. I know some of these women to this day. They're in their 80s and 90s. They went into that basement to a little crowded room, and there were a bunch of black women, and they called them the computers because they were calculating there was no computers then. They were calculating all of the formulas to give to the astronauts, to give to NASA. Y'all, there was in Hampton, Virginia. Listen, NASA is in Hampton, Virginia. I lived in Hampton for years, so I'm saying this because I know. There are communities where these people lived. Right now there is a space. There's a if you're familiar with Virginia, where BJ's, there's this huge mall. They even have a casino on it right now. And that was a whole neighborhood. They demolished the neighborhood of black people, excuse me. There were these neighborhoods of these computers, these freaking geniuses that went to Hampton University, scientific geniuses. They were in their science mind. You hear me? And NASA recruited them. They tell you the truth in the movies, but you're not conditioned to watch it to see the truth unless your eye is open. You're conditioned to watch it for the glory. Let's give them a little nugget and show them that this little black lady helped put the astronauts on the moon. Come on. But they showed you who the computers were. And then they told you the other woman who said, let's actually learn these big servers. And then they told you it was them who were running the servers. Y'all. You don't have the spiritual or the genetic right to be on some weak energy. Period. Stop falling for these systems that are here to brainwash you. They're trying to brainwash you, and they can't do it. One of the most, you know, oh my gosh. Now I'm activated, y'all. One of the most beautiful things I see, I look at things from a spiritual lens like nobody's business. I love where I came from. I love where I came from. I was just in New York the other week and I felt the energy there. I freaking love that I was born, where I was born, when I was born. I love it. Because if anybody can survive from that, every inner city is sitting on crystals. Every last one. Every last one. And it's twofold. I'm going to tell y'all some stuff right now. It's twofold. You're purposefully sent there. This is when we get into geography and transportation, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go there too deep right now. But inner cities, the people, the people, you melanated people that are there for specific reasons because you're sitting on top of, these are ancient spaces, these are crystals, and you're being activated. They're not new cities, y'all. I was in, I grew up in the Bronx. If you're familiar with the Bronx, you know that it's hills. It's hills. If you on one street and you want to get to the next street, like there's steps. There's a staircase to get up to the next block. Like for real, you can go up the steps or you can walk up the hill. It's hills all over. And they're big, gigantic rocks. And there are buildings built into the rocks. It is the most astonishing thing. And as kids, we used to play on the rocks and slide down the rocks. And one day, Spirit said those are crystals. And that's why they couldn't flatten them out and break them down. But those crystals had to activate the people there. You get activated, so your energy is siphoned from you. Do you hear me? What comes out of these cities? In the 80s, you had people that were literally burning down the apartment buildings. They used to call it the burnt down Bronx. Because you could drive down the street and a building's on fire, some mattress is on fire, something's on fire. And yet, one of the most transformational things of this era came out of that space, which was rap, which was hip hop, that has affected everything in this world because people were activated by these crystals. The other thing is that it's also a trap. You see these statues that are pointing and doing certain things, and they're meant to trap the people there. Let me suck off your energy, but I'm going to keep you trapped here because I'm going to brainwash you. I want what you have, but I don't want you. I'll take what you have, but I don't want to take you. Matter of fact, let me try to destroy you. Let me tell you another beautiful thing. Because no one can dispute this, that crack, not cocaine. Cocaine was in the more wealthy areas, but crack was put on the streets in our neighborhoods purposefully. We ain't no people that have passports to be going to Colombia to get in it to get the cocaine. How do they know how to cook it? Let me tell you the most beautiful thing. Yo, I adore when I see a woman and she says, "Yeah, I used to be on crack." How the hell did you survive that? How did we're talking 30, 40 years later and you're still alive? Yo, what do you have in your genetics? Yo, what is that? Because that was meant to kill you. And then to get you off of it, listen, in order to get people off of not just crack, heroin, they gave them meth. There were literally meth clinics. They gave you meth to wean you off of crack and heroin. They gave you another drug to get you off the drugs. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. And they still survived. Y'all better stop acting weak. Y'all better stop acting weak. There was no organic food. There was no good food. There was legit plastic cheese that came in a brown box, y'all. Powdered milk. Bullshit food that people were eating off of and survive. Canned meat. Nasty ass canned meat, y'all. What the hell? What was that meat? Juice that wasn't juice that came in a packet of powder that you dumped sugar on. And y'all survived? Y'all survived. The violence, there was no anti-bullying, there was no anti-nothing, there was no politically correctness, there was no protection from the police, none of that existed. And you survived, and you have the audacity to act weak. Now we have a crisis because people are taking the meth, the very thing we were given to get off the crack and the heroin, and they're dying from it. But we didn't die from the crack and the meth, and they still alive. Oh my gosh. Tap into your knowing, y'all. I tell people when they're going through things, did you survive something harder than this? Harsher than this? Well, yeah. Okay. Then this ain't shit. You get over this. Stop being weak. Oh, Professor, you shouldn't say that because people are going through things. We all here. we, we all here. We get it. I'm talking to the gods, the goddesses that have returned. I ain't talking to none of y'all other beings. I'm talking to those people that know what you know within you that there's something powerful and you're trying to connect to it. You just freaking know it. This is not for everyone's level of consciousness, y'all. That's why I say you can't force anyone. You can't make anyone get this. Light from light. The light sees its head and runs to it. Those are spiritual beings. Walk in your power fully. And we're gonna learn that. I'm like that. When I tell y'all, I'm about to start teaching. Y'all gonna learn some quantum mechanics. I'm about to start teaching y'all some stuff, your stuff, so you can remember. And you can say, oh, that makes sense. This week I'm teaching about what the auric field is. Because we hear, oh, the aura, the aura. And oh, your aura is this, your aura is pink. And it has this weak connotation to it. I don't want to weaken my aura. How does your aura become weak? How does your aura become strong? What the hell is an aura? Mm. When you learn the science behind it, you're going to be like, I get it. When you learn the science behind how to shield up your aura, how to truly protect yourself, you will get it. There's this image that I have in my mind, and I don't know if it's from something, but I don't know where it's from, and I don't really know how to describe it. But you can literally shield your 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 auric body, literally, and protect yourself. Mm. And it's an easy science to it, y'all. It's really easy. And when you learn it, you're gonna be like, that's it? That's all? That's easy. I can do it. There's a preparation that is happening now for the true new year, which is March 20th, spring equinox. And the preparation is within. There's some work that y'all gonna have to do within yourselves, within your cells as well. But you gotta know that you have to do it, that this is your time to do it. I'm not telling, and don't go into that place of beating yourself up and woe is me and you just don't understand what I'm going through right now. Every spiritual being, every spiritual warrior goes through stuff. I get it. I get it. Man, if you only could see your true self, like your true primordial self, if you, oh my gosh, maybe some of y'all need to ask, show me me. Because if you truly saw you, man, you would slice through this life like like when I tell you obstacles would be like humorous. You would see obstacles as opportunities to grow. You would you look for it. Every time I get emotionally triggered, I'm like, yes, I've uncovered something in me that needs to heal. I promise you. I told my daughter, I was telling her, like, this thing emotionally triggered me. And I'm sitting here searching for it and breaking it down and going back into my childhood and finding the root cause of it, doing that work so I can heal it. And then it's like, I found what it is. Yes, okay. Now I can transmute that. It's gone. Welcoming the next thing. What's the next obstacle? The whole time, I know my mission. And if I know my mission, and my spirit team knows I know my mission, then I know that paths are going to be made, doors are going to be open for me to fulfill that mission. And I know that nothing's going to stop me, and I'm going to get it done. And it makes this journey easier. Do you understand? Through all the bullshit, because it's a lot of it. We still got to navigate this reality. But the work is creating the one that you want while navigating this space. I'm going to teach that too. I'm going to close with this. I think I'm going to close with this because I thought I was going to close a while ago. We're in the dormant phase, y'all. The work that you're doing is inner work. The inner work is challenging. It's okay to be challenged. You will get the same challenge until you're in the place of knowing how to, I don't want to say supersede, knowing the energy of that challenge. What do I mean by that? If your challenge is financial, and every time you get some money, something happens, you're going to keep going through those challenges until you know this is a pattern, this is a trauma, this is something I need to heal. And you do that healing work. And you know that you did that healing work. And now it's no longer an issue. Money will no longer be an issue. Or relationships or whatever. As you're going through these spaces, the challenges sometimes are hellish. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a challenge, but just meditate and you'll be fine. No, sometimes you're fighting, you feel like you're dying, you're crying, you're doing the 9-year-old cry, the 9-year-old boy who's like huffing and puffing and so emotional, you're doing that cry. And it's okay. Every tear drops is a trauma released. Drop those tears. Make it count. What do I say? 10 minutes. But make it count. Don't do a weak ass cry. I tell my daughters, you're gonna cry, you better cry. Make it count. If you're mad, you better be mad. Make it count. Fully release it. If you don't want people thinking you crazy, you get a pillow, you cry into that pillow. You get in the shower, you cry into that water. Let it go down the drain. 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, your body literally says, what the hell is going on? Are we in some sort of something's happening? And your body starts to shut down. When people cry, when you cry for extended periods of time, it's when you start getting sick and your nose is congested. Now you have a cold. That's why I say you got 10 minutes. Release that trauma, make it count. Be like children. Children have a whole temper tantrum. They scream, they cry, and then they shake it off. It's okay to be emotional. Let that stuff release, come up out of you. Don't you dare project it on someone else. Don't you be going through your stuff and then yell at your kids because they don't have nothing to do with your stuff. Don't you yell at your spouse or take it out of anyone else. You deal with that within yourself. You go into meditation, you ask your spirit team to show you what it is. What is the root? Help me to find the root cause so that I can do this work within myself. You don't blame someone else because of your trauma. It is yours. But Professor, you don't understand. They did it to me. They did it to you. It's yours. You're a sovereign being. You contracted them to do that to you so that you can pull up whatever it is within you that needs to come to the surface from other lifetimes, from other experiences. There's a reason why DNA is being activated. There's a reason why you have to truly know who you are. Sometimes I gotta watch what I say on here, and sometimes I just don't care. When you know who you are, you know who others are too. Listen, listen, listen. My daughter, when she was little, they used to call her koala bear because she would literally sit on my hip. She was, I used to wrap her actually. I used to wrap all my children on my body years ago before it became trending now. And that's because we used to do that. Now it's this thing. I forgot what they call it now, as if it wasn't something we were doing hundreds and thousands of years ago. But I used to wrap them on my body. But when she was like 2 years old, she still wanted to be on me. So I would wrap her, let her sit on my hip. And they would call her koala bear. Like, you're always on your mom. And so sometimes I would go around people, like literally in church. One of my daughters, she would be on my right hand. I would have her, she was holding on to my right hand, and my other one was on my hip. And certain people would come up to me to greet me, smiling and just, really lovely people. And she would grip into me. Her fingers would dig into me and she would hold on to me tight. I used to be like, what is going on? She would do it so much. And it wasn't until a few years ago, literally, I think 2020, 2021. No, was it? I forgot when it was, y'all. And she said to me something about the colors. I said, what are you talking about? And she said, the colors on people. And I said, what do you mean the colors on people? She said, everyone has colors. And I said, you can see colors around people? She said, yeah, like the colors on people. And I had to tell her, sweetheart, you're seeing people's auras. Everyone can't see that. That's not normal. That's a gift. And she said, you can't see that? And she's asking her sisters, you guys can't see the colors on people? And they're like, what the hell? No. They have other gifts. And I realized when she was a baby, she was seeing people's auras. Listen, she was seeing people's energy fields. And a lot of those people that were smiling, like, hi, Melanie, oh my gosh, your daughter's so cute. She was seeing them for who they truly were. Listen, y'all. She was seeing them for who they truly were, and she was terrified. I'm saying that to tell you she was terrified because she was a baby. Okay? I'm not telling y'all to be terrified. That's not what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying, well, how do I learn how to see people's auras? No, no, no. You don't have to see it. That's just her gifting. You have to know. You have to trust in your knowing. You have to trust within your body. Your own energetic field is going to tell you. Everyone who smiles in your face, I always tell you this, everyone who smiles in your face, who says certain spiritual keywords, people that flatter you, people that listen, you may be in a relationship with someone, you hear me? And their job is literally to get you off your mission. Their job is to distract you. Their job is to get you to question yourself. Their job is to get you in doubt, fear, shame. Oh, you doing that spiritual work, that shit don't work. You still broke. I had to pause on that because I know that was for somebody. When you are in your full knowing, you will recognize who those people are. Not to attack them, not to do any spells on them, no rituals. Not forget all that. Who cares? I'm going to teach you how to shield yourself anyway. But not for none of that. It's for you to say, you know what? I choose not to be in this energy or not to be in this space. I really don't have to have a conversation with you. I really can leave this relationship. Like, you don't hold no power over me. I know who I am. I know the power that's within me. Don't even let your children guilt you. You hear me? Don't feel no guilt, no shame, no fear anymore about anything. And if you feel it, check it. If you feel it, check it. Where does this come from? This is something that I need to heal. You need to know who's around you. Some of you don't even trust your own teachers. Listen, listen. We've had master after master that has come to tell us stuff, share things with us. And we don't trust it until someone else says something, and then we trust it. not knowing that they got it from that person. Don't you know they study you? Do y'all know that? I remember in 2020, I'll never forget in 2020, Zoe Essentials at the time, one of the first herbs that I sold was soursop. And I said, it reverses cancer. Someone asked, well, how do you know that? I said, I know that because that's what we know. That's that like in the Caribbean, like that's what you know. You know what soursop does. People don't have those diseases. Those diseases don't exist like that there. But I'm telling you that. I did a video in 2017 when I was in Colombia. Living in Colombia, and I cut into it's old, and I cut into in Spanish it's called guanabana. Soursop is guanabana. And I cut into a guanabana, and I was eating the fruit. And I did a video talking about you eat this fruit, it's gonna keep your gut clear. It literally, you take it in the morning, you'll have a bowel movement. It keeps you clean. And then the leaf prevents you from getting cancer years ago. And I remember my website was taken down 3 times. Merchants would not let me sell anything on my website because they said you're making false claims. There was no evidence that it cures cancer. And I said, but I know that it does. Listen. And there were people that were saying, why don't you just not say that so that you can sell it? And I said, I'm never not going to say the truth. I'll figure it out. And I figured it out. Last year, there was an article, and the article had 2 white men and a white woman doctor, like lab coats. And it was like walking out of this room, like, oh my gosh, like with this pride energy. And the title was, Studies Now Show That Soursop Can Reverse Cancer. And then you see this big boom of every people talking about it. I'm not saying I was the first. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying people like us were been saying that. But now there's this boom and everyone's on it now. And now there's soursop bitters and all kinds of stuff that people are buying and stuff. And it's like when you're when we have such a doubt in who we are that we don't even know who our own people are that are telling us stuff. So now there's a scientific research study that was done last year to prove it. I didn't need the scientific study research because this is something that our ancestors and our ancestors' ancestors were doing and taking. There's evidence to it. Do you understand? This goes with everything else. Dr. Delbert Blair, one of my teachers in the 60s, was saying that he was visited by extraterrestrials. He was saying it publicly. He was visited in the 50s, 1950s. There were 2 of them, and they told him that they were going to go on a ship and they were going to signal him. He met them in an elevator. They spoke to him. They told him basically like, What are you doing? You don't know who you are? Like, why are you acting weak? What is this thing with this segregated elevator thing? They were baffled by the fact that him, as a melanated man, didn't know who he was. And said, we're gonna show you. Look up in the sky. And he looked up and he saw the ship, and as soon as he saw it, it disappeared. And can you imagine when he went to speak to his own people about this? Can you imagine how ridiculed he was? And he was crazy, and he was the devil, and he was weird, and that's not real, and aliens aren't real, and they mocked him. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And now in 2024, we have a Space Force. And now in 2024, 2025 now, but 2024, the government is admitting that they're extraterrestrials. But we didn't believe our own teacher because we didn't know who we were. That's why you have to know who you are so you know who is who. Do you understand? When they mocked Dr. Laila Africa, again in the 60s, 70s, and he's saying, look, stop eating that food. That's not your food. Who told you to eat eggs and bacon and milk with orange juice for breakfast? All of it's fried. And they mocked him. Men mocked him. You're not a real man. You're not eating meat. I have such a level of respect for some of them because, like, I can imagine you're fighting everyone around you, but they knew their mission and they stayed true to their mission. When Dr. Sebi, a lot of y'all don't know his story. His grandson, he taught a class and he told me, he's like, let me tell you my grandfather's story. Because people know him as how they see him. And they didn't know him as how he was. And how he legitimately was over 300 pounds, was extremely sick. Mentally, I'm not going to, maybe his story's out there, I don't know. But doing things that are not high vibrational. Let's just say that. And body disease ridden. And something happened. He said, I got to go back to my roots. I got to go back. And he realized something. He realized the science. He didn't have expensive labs and research studies and nothing. He just said, it's the food. It's the food. And if we only eat the food that is natural to this planet, there's something to it. He didn't understand. Now I teach this. I teach on the chemistry of food, literally. Because when you understand the chemistry, when you understand the makeup of your own melanin, and you understand the chemistry of food and acidic versus alkaline, it all makes sense. And then when he started curing people of AIDS and disease, and in Harlem, putting an ad saying, hey, you have a disease, don't worry, I can reverse it, I can cure you. And the government said, who are you to come against the medical system? Put him on trial, threaten jail, because that's what they do. Discredit you, put you in jail. They don't really want to outright kill you, because then you'll be a martyr, right? Oh my gosh. But they'll discredit you, make you like you crazy, use your own people to do it. because you don't know, who you are. You don't know who's around you. Everyone in your circle, listen. I don't care if they smile in your face. You need to know who you are so you know who's around you. You hear me? But because he was so knowing, like, I know what I've done. I know what I'm doing is truth, is really healing people. I don't need to know the specific biological sciences behind it. And he won his case. But can you imagine all the people that mocked him? Can you imagine? And all the people that mocked the people that were trying to eat like that? Huh. I remember what happened to me when I started eating like that. Your own family will mock you and ridicule you and justify stuff. No, no, you have to be in the energy of knowing so you can know what's around you. And now, and now you have people that are speaking about this holistic healing and now you have people, everyone, it's a thing now. It's so much of a thing now. Now it's trending. You are going to the energetic space that we're going into, y'all. Last year was a few days ago. It's going to be like I don't want to say a shit show, but it's going to be like you're in the movies, like you're literally in the movies. Like for me, it's like a comedy. Everything is like every time I hear, it's like I'm laughing. Every time I hear something, it's like, is this for real? This can't be for real. This is some crazy shit. Oh my gosh. You have to be so focused on tapping into you, staying in alignment, doing your work, not being distracted. Some people say that, some people have said that, doing the spiritual work is hard or it's overwhelming, it's just too much. And that's because you're just not in your knowing space. It's not doing spirituality. It is your being. That is your walk every day. If you're putting on pretense and you're putting on a spiritual costume, yeah, it gets tiring. And yeah, you're like, I don't want to do the spiritual stuff anymore because you're only doing it as a trend because it looks cool. I'm not here for none of those people. I don't want no parts of that. And y'all shouldn't either. What do you mean? That means you were never in your knowing in the first place. Do you hear me? You were never in your knowing in the first place. Because let me tell you this. If you were actually in your knowing, not fake shit, not fake stuff of I'm spiritual, I'm doing rituals now, and I'm wearing crystals now, and I'm putting salt in the corner of my house now. I'm doing all the physical stuff the stuff that looks spiritual, and I'm wearing the copper because that's spiritual, and I'm saying the words, and I'm participating in stupid ass debates and listening to stupid ass debates, air quote, one spiritual air quote person debating another air. Are you kidding me? That's fake. And when you put on that fake spiritual costume, that means you can take it off. And you call it new age. And when you're done with it, you put it down and you go back to the okie doke. You go back to an organized religion that you never really studied to understand truth from untruth. And you go back into being, I was gonna say a Muppet. Y'all know what Muppets are? You go back into being a Muppet. Ugh, I don't want to be accountable. Let my pastor do it. I can lead a bullshit life for a week, and on Sunday, go back into that cycle. I'm not talking about all, I'm talking about most. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because it was fake to begin with. But when it is in you, when you know who you are, when you know this is what your work is, there is no, it just is. And when people try to come against you to try to make you feel fear, shame, guilt, mock you, whatever, you're impenetrable. It may hurt your feelings a little. You may feel a way. Maybe that's a trauma. Maybe you're triggered. But it doesn't move you. You got to be immovable, unmovable. And it's not a thing of like, I'm going to try my best to, it's just a thing where you just are. I'm going to tell you something. When you just are, you have a cosmic family, y'all. I told you they're here. They're here. They're here. They will manifest themselves physically to rescue you. They will do whatever it is because you are invested in the work that you're here to do. I'm saying this because I know it to be true. I'm not just, it's not wishful thinking, like maybe I listen, they can materialize to be physical beings. To say, hey, do this, do that, get away from that person. Let me help guide you in this direction. But not when you want the fake stuff. I think I started talking about this dormant phase that we're in. And there's going to be a new wave of energy that's going to happen come March. And so a lot of, I was going to say inner work, and I heard inner standing has to happen. A lot of inner standing has to happen. Inner standing of who you really are and being firm in that. And the language that we speak, The language that we speak is a scientific one. That's our language. That's our language. And we've lost some of it. We don't know the verbs, the nouns. We don't know how to conjugate certain things. And we've been conditioned that it's too difficult. When in fact, it's not, and it is within you. I just saw someone said touching my Ori. That's interesting because I was just touching the top of my head. Ori is in Yoruba tradition, your crown. And a lot of people are going to feel their crown activated. And what does that feel like? It may feel like pressure. It may feel cold. You may want to put a hat on. It is cold out, but you may feel like you want to do that in the house. And that is just that space activating. Activation is just the movement of that energetic portal. It's just moving rapidly. And your cells are highly, they're on alert. Let's just say that. There's a lot of movement that's happening. All of us connected. And that's just parts of your DNA waking up. Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna say it because I'm gonna say it. When 2020 happened and I told y'all do not take that freaking shot. When I tell you I had a couple students that I literally was on the phone with and I said, listen, don't do it. I know they're threatening to lose your job. I get it. It was two in particular. I said, please, because I know the work that you're here to do. I can see the work that you're here to do. And that thing is meant to degrade or stop the DNA from activating. Those spike proteins. And I said, I told them, even if you don't trust yourself, trust me. Just have faith in me and me knowing, like, I got your back. They didn't take it. And I'm not going to, that's their story to tell on how things transformed in their lives. I was able to say that personally to them because they were students. But publicly, I shared, don't do it. I even did another video that was taken down where I broke down what was in it, what it does to the blood, and I spoke about myocarditis and how people are going to come up with myocarditis. I spoke about the drug that everyone was going to be on. I spoke about the fact that there was the stock prices rose for that drug company, right? All these things, it was meant to affect the breathing and the heart, which is the heart chakra. It was meant to attack that. I did a whole thing on it back in 2020. And now all the case studies are coming up. There was an activation that was taking place. And in order to stop the activation, because real talk, Listen, the powers that were know that there are beings here. They're not quite sure everyone. That's why they was trying to get everybody's freaking DNA. And they targeted Black Americans, specifically Black Americans, because Black Americans are like, have no connection to their ancestry. So Black Americans in droves said, I want to know what tribe I'm from. So let me give up my DNA. I said, don't give your DNA because they're going to lie to you. How I knew they lied? I had a cousin that did what is it called? 23andMe? I don't know. DNA? I don't know, whatever it's called. And they said like he was like 80% from West Africa or some other stuff, Europe, something. And I said, it was evidence to me that this was a lie. Because legitimately, the whole entire, my grandmother's side is from the Cherokee Nation. And nothing in his DNA said indigenous to America. And I said, that stuff is bullshit. And it's meant to pander to Black people. Because if they can get your DNA, then they can find out who is who. And guess what happened, y'all, last year? They admit that what company now has bought the rights to everyone's DNA? So when I tell you that it was this worldwide thing to try to stop the activation of people, because we can't target the inner cities anymore. We can't target, we can't just say, okay, the crack in the inner cities and stuff, because that's too obvious. It's too obvious. But it's reversible. All that's reversible. You gotta want to do the work to reverse it. But it's reversible. But everyone that has that shot, everyone, you have microclots in your blood. And the only test that can determine it is a test called D-dimer. If you ask your doctor for a D-dimer test, they're gonna tell you no. Why do you want it? You will literally have to fight. And if you fight to get that D-dimer test, you will see that there are microclots in your blood. 100%. I'm partially sharing that because another major activation is happening. But this time, ain't nobody stupid. We can't fall for the same thing. So trust that they're thinking of ways to put you in fear mode. But the only way that it works is if you agree to it. You have to agree to it because you have the power. Remember I told you about that a few months ago? That storm that was supposed to destroy Florida. And I said, don't y'all agree to that. And nothing, Florida will be okay. It's not gonna happen. Don't be fearful. Shout out to Tisha, my student, who was like, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna sit here with my cats. She wasn't gonna take her cats on the road with her, or her cat, excuse me. And all the weathercasters were saying it's the worst storm. Category 5, Florida has never seen nothing like this. But the very people that have a connection to the elements said, we're not falling for this. We're not agreeing to this. We're not agreeing with this. Listen. And shout out Tisha, because here's what you don't know. I was talking to Sister Myra about this. You were literally, energetically doing some work by you being there. And you probably know that. If you didn't, I'm telling you now. You were energetically, what is the word? There's a stronghold. You are a stronghold in that area to protect that area. But because the very people that have the connection to the elements did not come into alignment with it, that thing that was supposed to be the worst disaster turned out to be a regular category 2 storm. Oh, Tisha, you are here. See? So I'm saying the same things to you all. Don't fall for it. Don't be. Spirit showed me a week ago. I woke up and I told my daughter, oh my gosh, I saw like vegetation stuff covered with white, like dust. And I said, they're going to be spraying, like, it's not snow, but it's going to be like falling all over the place. And people are going to be like, what is this? And it is nanotechnology. It really is. It's meant to get into everything, get into your food, get into the water supply, everything. And it's crazy because when I went up to New York, I was in Jersey first. We pulled up. Every time I go there, literally, I feel the energetic, the space shift, like the energy just shifts. But I said, someone is burning their fireplace, you know, like I can smell, I see it, I see the smoke and I can smell it. It smelled weird, but it didn't smell like fireplace, it smelled like burning. And I was like, oh, this energy is weird. This was in New Jersey. And I said, what is happening here? Something is happening here. And I could smell it in the air and I could see it was like foggy and I can see it. And this was after I had that vision. And I said, oh my gosh, it's the vision. This is not real. This is not real. This is not real. And so I'm sharing that with you twofold. I don't want to get too deep into that because I'm not putting no energy into that. But I'm sharing this with you to tell you this. Number one, I was about to curse. F nanotechnology. Let me tell you. F nanotechnology. Don't y'all be afraid of it at all. Let me tell you why. Everything is energy, period. And if you understand that you are the science, that you are the technology, that means that you can shut on and shut off other technology, period. That's why some of y'all can walk into a room and the lights, the freaking light bulb blows. Or you touch something and you get a shock. Don't be afraid of it. There are people that are going to talk about it, and there are certain people that are going to talk about it and that are going to share information. Don't you get caught up in it in social media. You hear me? When you eat your food, I teach my daughters, before you eat your food, we don't pray to say, thank God for our food. I'm praying over that food to clear it from whatever energy and make it good for my body. When you drink water, you hold that water and you tell that water, you're going to be good for my body. You can transform it. You can alchemize it. So don't be afraid of the nanobites or whatever. You can, you can, what is it called? You can short all the circuits by you vibrating high. You hear me? But this is one of the reasons why now you have to be in your knowing, because you'll recognize when something is out of resonance with your knowing or out of resonance with who you are. Y'all following me? I know I said a lot. You have the power. You have the power. You literally have the power within you. You can short circuit low vibrational people. You can short all that, all that. Okay. With that said, I forgot my initial purpose on coming here was talking about us being in knowing. No more excuses. I don't want to hear no. If you have an excuse, put it in the comment section. Email me and say, Professor, you don't understand. Is this hard? If you really want me to respond to you, I will respond to you. You may not like my response, but again, I'm speaking to my soul family here, spiritual beings. You are freaking powerful warriors. You're not weak. You're not minority. You're not the minority, y'all. So don't even use that word. Remember, 1 to 1,000. One of y'all can defeat 1,000. One of y'all can activate 1,000. You hear me? Be 100% in confidence in who you are. If you feel weakened, tag somebody, tap somebody. Say, I'm feeling weak right now. Don't fall off. Don't just disappear. You are needed. Your work is needed. You have to understand how valuable you are. You have to understand how loved you are. The fact that you are here, the fact that you're listening to this right now. Everything is working out perfectly. Everything is working out beautifully. Everything is working out according to plan, y'all. You're going to be so good. You are so good. Just know it. Okay? With that said, everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I will see you all soon. Peace.